What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. I've been thinking about the nature of God or gods. I don't think this divide is between NPCs and player characters. I think there are NPCs, maybe some player characters, but I think the situation we find ourselves in, it's more a matter of player controlled characters or named NPCs, which is not ideal because an NPC has irrelevance on its side. And true player characters, if they exist, are incarnations and come with the powers of true will. They aren't of this plane. Our trouble is we are of this plane and we have eyes on us. In the bigger picture, I don't think we matter at all. On the smaller scale, I think we can matter as much as we can matter to the people we matter to or to the beings we matter to, which isn't a lot. Because you think in as above, so below terms. And I think there's a divide here. Oftentimes we'll think about what's happening above by looking at what happens below. As in, we look at ants, then we look at ourselves, and then we guess, based on the pattern, what's happening above. Or, in a more mortal way, how does power work among the poorest? Using that, you can get a sense of how power works among the richest. But today, I was thinking about characters. In fiction or in games, people of those realms are a below, but it's a different sort of below. Or if you're tracing a path, it's a different path from low to high. A different kind of low, maybe for a different kind of high. Characters in media we like are important to us. Even in games like Kenshi, I've been thinking about Kenshi a lot lately, haven't played it in a couple years. Even these literally who's, designed to have no plot importance outside the importance we give to them, by merit of their being our people, they can become very important to us. But even if you hold a character above other people, above even yourself, that doesn't change the fact this character is still a character. Even if you wanted them to be real, they aren't. No matter how great you think they are or how badly you'd like them to be real, they won't be. And they aren't, in fact, all that great. Even compared against someone like you, because you exist. But they do exist, but it's, again, in that confusing diagonal way. Maybe we exist to higher beings the way characters exist to us. Maybe it's not a matter of how we view or feel about ants, maybe it's how we view or feel about characters that can inform us of how higher beings view or feel about us. How many humans actually value characters above themselves and others, or even as equals? And of those who do, what is the extent to which they can help them or serve them? If it's a character or an NPC in a game, maybe you give them a bunch of nice shit, but that's about as far as you'll be able to go. And for the vast majority of people, these characters they like, maybe they have a huge these characters have a huge impact on them, mean a lot to them, but they'll spend more of their lives not interacting or interfacing directly with this character than they will not. And at some point, they'll stop interacting with this character directly altogether. My point is, even if you are favored by some higher being, how often does their influence actually affect you? To what extent does it actually affect you? I'm still of the mind higher powers need us for something. But what's bothering me is I'm not sure how vital what they need us for is, or how important we individually are to their purposes. I'm inclined to think it's not actually that much. And it feels like there is a gulf between or interfering with the degree to which they can interact with us. Because if they could do what they needed to do here, whatever it is, themselves, you would imagine they'd be doing it, or they would have a better way to do it, or we would notice it a lot more. And maybe we should, maybe we do, or maybe it is happening very obviously, but you'd need different eyes to see the influence they're wielding. Existence is a terrifying thing. Life is a terrible wasteland to live in. Because at some point, you're forced to acknowledge your own powerlessness. You have moments of this throughout your entire life, some more severe than others. Earlier today, I had a less severe one, realizing this is not just a matter of power, control, or self-determination, which you have none of in truth, but also you don't know anything. That freaked me out earlier. You don't know anything. Consciousness is like an organ. Consciousness is an eyeball that creates structure or attempts to create structure based on what it sees. The same way vision constitutes images based on what it sees. Now, to us, when we see with our eyes, I don't know how to describe this. Because we have eyes, it feels natural to see. This is, and this is how we is. It is one organ of organization making. Consciousness is the terminus of organization making. However, just because we perceive something or perceive what we perceive to be what is, doesn't mean that is what is. That's the way our organs construct it for us to understand. And we don't think about it that way because this is what we are. This is natural to us. But that doesn't mean the peak of our perception is all that's out there, or even the way things are out there. They're the way we see things. My point being, how much can you actually know about life when you're trying to understand existence using the equivalent of just a thermometer? Your entire being is one measuring stick. It measures one metric. And it's a particular metric. How many other metrics are there out there? How many ways can existence be known? Does the thermometer think existence is just a matter of temperature? Because that's what humans do. And that's something you're vaguely aware of. Maybe you've had that revelation before, but this is another peculiar thing about human existence. The same lessons hitting you in their fullness at different times in your life, as if it were the first time you had this revelation. Meaning you never really knew it. You knew it for a moment and then lost it, or went on with a lesser understanding of it, only for the revelation to hit again. We are utterly at the mercy of things we can't even perceive. And I watched a video a while ago. I'm glad someone else talked about it and had, I don't remember the video, but I'm glad someone else had the idea, or the feeling. Cosmic horror isn't sufficient. Because it's not, or the horror doesn't come only from the not knowing or the inability to know. There's another form of horror that's not cosmic horror, but it's in that same realm, but it gets lumped in with the same thing, but they're not the same thing. That through work, you can come to know some terrible truths about existence, but they're just very bad. Make living even worse than it is. Powerlessness and ignorance are in that camp. You might not know the workings behind everything that makes you ignorant and keeps you powerless, but you can know you are hopelessly, helplessly ignorant and powerless. And that's why I referenced God fearing the other day. I don't think God or gods save you or will reward you afterward, even if they wanted to, maybe. I feel more like we are investments, the way a person might invest in a bullet. Your continued existence at all, to say nothing of the quality of your existence, hinges on your capacity to function as a bullet or as an investment. The fact you aren't dead and in total suffering 24/7 is all thanks to the grace of God or your God, and that grace is extended to you only insofar as you are willing and able to do whatever job you're assigned. That's what I mean by God fearing. Maybe your God isn't all powerful, but they're powerful enough to have some hand in preserving you against the void sometimes, and maybe more if you do a good job. And that's what I mean by, actually, I don't think I've said this. This might be in the notes, which I haven't published. Faith isn't an option, it's the only option, and the only real option. No matter how high you or others rise, no matter how powerful you may become, to the people who are actually in control, you're either less than an ant or you aren't even real. You're like a character in a game. You are electricity moving around on a lesser scale. And there are probably beings or forces or whatever they are even higher above them, contrasted against what feels like this void of, it's not nothing, it's this grand background of disempowerment and humiliation. Gods are as subject to the sadism game as we are. And I don't think that's, if that's even what's happening, then I don't think that's something we'll ever be able to get our heads around. Because that feels like its own thing, and I can't tell if it has, or I can't feel if it has agency or not. Clearly, it exists to create suffering, but why? And why from the lowest scale to the highest scale? Why is that the constant? And within all this, the best you can do is serve faithfully and hope your higher being cares as much as they can care. But even then, their caring will save you as much as it would save them. I thought I had more to talk about, but I don't. So we will cut it here. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.